Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you're not, thanks for coming back. And thank you to everyone who takes the time to not just watch, but to like, subscribe and to comment as well. I did a video recently on my favourite 40 punk albums. There was a lot of interest in that and an enormous amount of interaction and comments, which I really welcome. So thank you very much to everyone who interacted. Today I thought I would share my top 50 punk and new wave singles. Now I've done this in years before, and I don't know what you know people are watching this are like, but my views about certain songs change almost daily, and so the order is always going to be different. So what I've got here is 50 45s in roughly some kind of rank order. Now inevitably collections are limited in that they're very rarely definitive, and I am missing some significant singles. So for example, I don't have, although I've got it on album, I don't have Sonic Reducer by Dead Boys, and I don't have Blank Generation by Richard Hell. Both of those I've got on album but not on 45. I haven't got Nobody's Scared by Subway Sect, and I haven't got Big Time by Rudy, and certainly Big Time by Rudy would definitely be making it into this list. And there's one other single that's going to feature in this that I don't actually have on 45, but I'm going to include it because I used to have it, I just sold it. And there's also a number of singles, because I've got probably the best part of 300 to 400 punk new wave singles, maybe more than that, and so there's a significant number that haven't made it, and you can probably spot some of them next to me here. So you know, in this list we haven't got Blondie or Nick Lowe or 999 or Ultravox or Generation X. We haven't got Rich Kids or Swell Maps. We haven't got Chelsea or Radiators from Space or the Cortinas. We haven't got Joe Jackson or The Nosebleeds, which features a very young Vinnie Riley from Duty Column. We haven't got Menace or Adam and the Ants or the Maniacs. We haven't got those. But what we have got is 50 pretty great 45s to share with you, and I'd be really interested to know what you think of this particular bunch. So coming in at number, I guess this is number 50, we've got a 12-inch. I've got a couple of 12-inch singles, and I don't have this on 7-inch. The other 12-inch singles I might share today, I have got 7-inch as well, but this is I think there might have been a short-lived band. In fact, this is London, who were, I'm guessing, London-based. This is a very, very young John Moss, who went on to play with The Damned and then was part of the formation of the Culture Club with Boy George. So a short-lived band, a guy called Riff Regan on vocals, who I think went on to TV and stage writing stuff. And Dave Wright went on to be, I think, a professor in politics or something. So anyway, the No Time, but also Summer of Love are really good songs, and that is my number 50. At 49, a band that kept changing their name, but this is from, now I had reservations about including this because it came out in December 79, so I've got a kind of a window of 77, 78 and 79 for all of these 45s, and I'm only going for one single from any one band, and this came out in December 1979, but I don't think charted until 80. In fact, it headed the UK indie charts for about 7 weeks, and that's Where's Captain Kirk by Spiz Energy. At number, what have we got there? That's 49. This must be 48. Looking After Number One by the Boomtown Rats, which is pretty much the only Boomtown Rats song I really like, if I'm honest. I also got it on 12-inch single, and on the back, if you want to, you can cut out your own Boomtown Rats armband, which works as a 12-inch. It's less good as a 7-inch, unless of course you've got very, very skinny arms. At number 47, Slaughter and the Dogs, Where Have All the Boot Boys Gone? Great stuff. That's a reissue on red vinyl. Next up, on Stiff Records, Larry Wallace, formerly of the Pink Fairies, also played in the very early version of Motorhead. But this is a great little Stiff single, Police Car by Larry Wallace. Next up, and people might have reservations about me including this song over some of these here, but I have to because it's just part of my growing up and I loved it. What a brilliant single Jilted John was. Everyone will love this single, unless of course your name was Gordon. I'm going to include this particular song as well. I like this song. The 7-inch of it is an edited version. You get the first half on side 1 and the second half on side 2, and it's Marquee Moon by Television, but I put it down a little bit because, you know, it is a much shorter version. There's the 12-inch of it as well. So great stuff from Television. Next up, sadly not in a picture sleeve, but an early Sham 69. I think it's about their third single, Borstal Breakout, which I think is definitely, for me anyway, is their best one. They've got lots of kind of football terrace chanting songs, but that is great. Next up, American band from Rhode Island, I think, bunch of art school students, quite different, but very much part of the CBGB scene. This is Psycho Killer by Talking Heads. Not their best single, but again, lots of these are my favourites, and they're nostalgic picks, and that's definitely one of them. Next up, I love this song. This is a song that I'm sure would have influenced a band like Blur. I'm sure they would have done. It's alternative TV, and the track is called Life, which is backed with Love Lies Limp. But Life is a tremendous track. I love that. And then at 41, we've got Television Personalities. This is a white label, which originally came out on with a photocopied sleeve. I haven't got that, I've just got it in a white sleeve. But Happy Families, Posing at the Roundhouse were on the B-side, and on the A-side we have two tremendous songs. One is Part-Time Punks, and the other one is Where's Bill Grundy Now, both of which are making this this top 50. Part-Time Punks has got this kind of snare drum that sounds like it's made of paper and the most ridiculously poor backing vocals, but the charm of that song is brilliant. Part-Time Punks and Where's Bill Grundy Now, and both of those interchangeable in terms of where they are in this list. Okay, we're going into number 40 now, so we've got The Lurkers and Shadow, a song that first heard on John Peel, and I bought it fairly swiftly after. My favourite song by the Rosillos is next up, and that's My Baby Does Good Sculptures on Sire Records, sadly not in a picture sleeve. Magazine, Howard Devoto's band when he left Buzzcocks. This is their classic, Shot by Both Sides, which is fantastic. Almost post-punk, possibly one of the first post-punk singles maybe. Next up, again, people might moan about this one being here compared with maybe some of these and also some of your own favourites, but you know, it's about nostalgia quite often, and Saplan Poro by Plastic Bertrand is definitely a nostalgic pick. Interesting enough, I don't think he actually sung or plays on this at all, Plastic Bertrand. It's done by the producer, but it's just a classic song with a classic tune. I love it. At number 36, I am denied about two songs here, and I've often claimed that Oh Bondage Up Yours is my favourite song by this band, but I wonder whether or not Identity is just edging that one out nowadays. That's a great single with obviously Polystyrene on the vocals. A band that I can't listen to too much of, but Identity is a classic of the genre, as is this one, another female fronted band. This is Penetration and Don't Dictate. Classic stuff. Number 34, Making Plans for Nigel, Swindon band, XTC, one of their early singles, and I think one of their best. Love that. And I love this as well. And that's also another John Peel favourite, the Mekons and Where Were You, on the same label as Gang of Four, who we might come to later. At number 32, Scottish band, Into the Skids and Into the Valley. What a great 45 that is, with Stuart Adamson, who went on to play with Big Country. At number 31, Eater, Thinking of the USA, the single that I bought by accident. I heard it was in Armadillo Records in Bournemouth, and I heard this song, which actually turns out it was I'm So Bored of the USA by The Clash. And I thought it was this when I was thumbing through the rack, so I bought this single thinking it was what I just heard. It wasn't. It was Eater, but that's a classic single from '77, Thinking of the USA. Next up, great artist. I bought an album by him today, actually, which I'll probably share in a vinyl finds when I eventually have enough to share. But that's Inan Jury, and one of his very early singles, if not his first, possibly, I don't know. Stiff Records anyway, Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. Also got that on a 12 as well, which is just a classic tune. Coming up next is a song, again, this was a song that John Peel played. This is a song that probably won't feature in many people's top 100, but again, nostalgic pick. I absolutely love it. It's the Barracudas, and I Want My Woody Back. And a Woody is I think it's a type of car. It's a Morris Traveller, I think it is. I think that's right anyway. But anyway, I Want My Woody Back by sort of surf punk band, the Barracudas. Great stuff. At number 20, what are we? 28. Remember, this is 70s, so I think they did better stuff in the 80s. I think Happy House, Spellbound are all better songs than Hong Kong Garden, but they were from the 80s, 80 and 81 respectively. And this is the first single, didn't feature on the screen, which I think it should have been. Lots of people would think it wouldn't have fitted on that album, which is fair enough. But I still really love that single. Commercial, yes, but brilliant. At number 27, got to go with this somewhere in the list. Tom Robinson, 2468 Motorway, classic song. Didn't make it onto the album initially, but it's just a great 45. Love it. Next up is John Lydon's band. When he left the Pistols, became John Lydon rather than Johnny Rotten, and formed Public Image Limited, and that's Public Image from 1978. I'm guessing that is. Great tune. At number 25, again another one on Stiff, Whole Wide World by Reckless Eric, another song that John Peel played a lot, and I got it soon after. At number 24, gone with Elvis Costello and the Attractions and Pump It Up, one of my favourite songs by him. I shared recently my favourite albums, and I had My Aim Is True as being my favourite, and that's a nostalgic pick. I do think that the follow-up to that, This Year's Model, which I'm pretty sure this is on, I think so anyway, is probably a better album. But this, Pump It Up, is my favourite single by Elvis Costello. Love that. At number 23, Buzzcocks Spiral Scratch EP, and the song in question is Boredom. It's just a fantastic tune. Absolutely adore that. That's my favourite Buzzcocks song. And I've ummed and ahed about which is my favourite. It changes every week, but at the moment it's Boredom, which is probably one of the punkiest songs that they did, I think. At number 22, Northern Ireland Band. And this is a band where you can smell the tension of Northern Ireland and the Troubles. Suspect Device by Stiff Little Fingers on Rough Trade Records. At number 21, a band that I've shared before. I've just never bought any albums by them because I didn't get them first time round, and now I do get them, or since I've been getting them. Their albums are rare to find, and when you do, they're really expensive. But I do have Outdoor Miner by Wire, which is different to the version on the album. It's considerably longer. It's about a minute longer, in fact, but a great 45 from Wire, Outdoor Miner. At number 20, so we're in the top 20. I don't know what you think's missing so far and what would be in yours, but at number 20, I've got probably, and again, this varies every week as to my favourite song by this band. Sometimes it's Stranglehold, sometimes it's CID, but today it's Tomorrow's Girls, which is on blue vinyl and did feature on their first album, Another Kind of Blues. I think it's a slightly different recording to this, I think. At number 19, an absolute classic, and that's The Sound of the Suburbs by the Members. Now, if I'd had the Stiff single, Solitary Confinement, that might have taken this song's place, but I do like that. That's on clear vinyl, clear vinyl with a die-cut sleeve. At number 18, I've gone with, again, nostalgic pick. The first single I heard by this band, and an edgy name. Remember, this is 1977. The Vibrators, and this is London Girls. Live version of that song, back with Stiff Little Fingers, where obviously that band took their name, but that's always been a big favourite of mine. London Girls Vibrators from 1977. At 17, absolute classic. This was a band who changed their name just for the single. I don't really know why they did that, but they did. And they brought out Do Anything You Want to Do. This is the Rods, obviously Eddie and the Hot Rods normally. In fact, the album that this is on, Life on the Line, is Eddie and Hot Rods. But for this, they were called Rods, and this is a classic 45. At number 16, and we're getting to classic stuff, obviously, all the time now, Babylon's Burning. Thought about Jar War, thought about Staring at the Rude Boys. Couldn't have that because it's a 1980 song, but Babylon's Burning is just brilliant. As is the next one, number 15. This is a classic. What a pop tune. This is, the band that, the punk band that sounds a bit like the Beatles if they'd gone punk. This is The Boys, and a classic single from them, First Time, which is they've got so much pop sensibility, the Boys. I love that. And then we've got a just new wave classic in Another Girl, Another Planet by The Only Ones, with an amazing guitar solo, but what a fantastic song. At number 13, I remember loving this, seeing it on Top of the Pops, bought it immediately, always loved it. The Adverts, Gary Gilmore's Eyes, wasn't on their debut to start with, got added to a repress later, but back with Bored Teenagers, which is also very good. At number 12, reservations about including this because they're a bit more pub rocky, but certainly new wave, and it was John Peel's favourite song of 1977, and I think it's 78 as well. Is it my favourite song by them? Probably. I did think about You Beat the Hell Out of Me, but I think Dancing the Night Away by the Motors is absolutely brilliant. I love it, and I've also got that on a 12. Also got the Rods, Do Anything You Want to Do, on a 12 as well. At number 11, just outside the top 10, on reflection, you know, from the fact that it's so influential and the fact that it's just brilliant, it maybe could be higher. But anyway, at number 11, I've gone with Gang of Four and Damaged Goods. Jaggedy guitar, but you can almost dance to this song. It's just, masterpiece. At number 10 in my punk new wave 45s, I've gone with Roadrunner by Jonathan Richman, re-recorded from 76. This is just one of my favourite songs of all time. I still play it. In fact, it occasionally comes up on my phone when I'm out running appropriately, and I still love it, and I always will. At number 9, I can't decide between these two. One of them is one of the first punk singles I ever bought and is a quintessential, together with Anarchy, Blitzkrieg Bop, and another one that's coming up later. I think it's one of the kind of classics, and that's White Riot. But I think White Riot, for me as a 45, is just eclipsed by Complete Control. This was a non-album track here in the UK. I think it made the US version of the debut, but just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I'm not sure which one. They'll probably be in the same place in this order, so I can't really decide. Today it's Complete Control. Next up is a song that, if it had been done by a mainstream band, it would have been one of the 70s classic pop tunes, I think. I nearly went with Get Over You, I nearly went with Teenage Kicks, but in the end I went with the one that I love the most, and that's Here Comes the Summer, single that was on the debut album from the Undertones. Absolutely classic stuff. At number 7, again, I really wrestle with which one, because remember, it's one single from any one band. Which one should I go for? And this is just an absolutely amazing 45. It's an EP. It's on a funny sort of pinky marbly vinyl. Something Better Change, Straighten Out, Grip, and Hanging Around. Now, any of those tunes would make my top 10. Right at this moment in time, Hanging Around is probably my favourite of those 4. That might change tomorrow, but right now, at number 7, it's Hanging Around by the Stranglers. At number 6, not my favourite song by this band, that's Art School, but I remember seeing this on Top of the Pops, bought it the following day, always loved it, always will. Such youthful exuberance, it's brilliant. The Jam, In the City. Yeah, some people say, oh, it's not punk, it's a mod band. Yeah, whatever. It's absolutely brilliant. Next up, this probably wouldn't feature in many people's maybe top 20, but I bought it in 77. It's a nostalgic pick. I love it, especially the drums at the start. I love the kind of rough production. One Track Mind by the Heartbreakers from LAMF. I love it. It's absolutely brilliant, and that's my number 5. At number 4, I've gone with an album track that was a 45. Now, the reason that I'm including it is because first time round in 77, I did buy this single. I bought it actually on the same day as a Ramones single. I can't remember which one. And I bought this single, and a couple of years later, I sold it. Someone offered me a lot of money for it, and I couldn't resist, because with that money, I could buy albums. So, and the single is New Rose by The Damned. I did have it, and that's why I'm including it. I did have it, I don't now. And every single time I see it in its original format, which I did have in a picture sleeve, it's phenomenally expensive, and I refuse to pay 70 quid plus for a 45. It's a bit like Big Time by Rudy. That's about £100 a time. Ridiculous. Okay, we're into the top 3. These are 3 of my favourite songs of all time, let alone new wave and punk classics. The third one is maybe, again, nostalgic pick, but this is aggressive. It's a bit kind of MC5, bit stoogey, just brilliant. This Perfect Day by the Saints, Australian band. It was on their second album, Eternally Yours. Just fantastic song, just brilliant. At number 2, wrestle with about 4 different songs by this band, but in the end I went with a song which is one of my favourite songs of the 70s. In fact, it's one of my favourite songs. It's got the opening line of chewing out a rhythm on my bubble gum, the sun is out and I want some. The Ramones, Rockaway Beach, just punk pop perfection. And at number 1, could have had one of any 4 singles by this band probably. But this is the first one I ever bought. I closely followed it up with 2 others, but this was the first one I ever bought, and I bought it on the same day as I bought This Perfect Day, and that was the day after Top of the Pops, when the Saints were playing and so were the Sex Pistols. Pretty Vacant, with just the most brilliant opening riff, one of the greatest riffs of all time, one of the best singles of all time, one of the best performances on Top of the Pops of all time. Pretty Vacant, one of my favourite singles of all time. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you to everyone who watches, comments, likes and subscribes. And if you don't subscribe, click the button, the more the merrier. Cheers all, see you soon, bye.